Now, before we get into the review, I just want to say that if you're watching in the future, please don't yell at me for not including the K-Knight DLC and the Arena Battle Mode, but in my time, July 2017, they're not out yet, so unfortunately, as much as I'd love to play them, I can't, but maybe one day we'll do a review that's an update to this one, but as of right now, I can't review them, so, don't kill me. Now, I did plan to do this review when the rest of the DLC did launch, but this is probably a sin for me saying this, but you can only play Shovel Knight so many times. I've played all the campaigns multiple times, and I'm starting to get sick of it, and I want to review it. So, I can finally pour out my feelings about this game, which are genuinely positive. So, let's get right into it. Now, recently, I've been posting my reviews on Reddit, so more people can get to them and find out whether these games are worth buying. So, most people who watch these reviews are new to my channel, so I'm going to explain how we review games here. We do it by 4 categories: controls, story, gameplay, and music. Now let's really get into this. Now, obviously, Shovel Knight has 3 campaigns, one on the way very soon. So I'll be grading each category based on the merits of all 3 current campaigns. The first campaign I'll be looking at is Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope. The story of Shovel of Hope consists of Shovel Knight and his beloved Shield Knight battling all kinds of evil, but then Shield Knight is stolen away from Shovel Knight, and Shovel Knight goes into a life of solitude as a farmer. But then the Order of No Quarter begins to cause even more trouble across their kingdom, and Shovel Knight must go to the Tower of Fate and rescue his beloved Shield Knight. And the story consists, the main story of the game consists of Shovel Knight beating all 8 members of the Order of No Quarter, and eventually fighting the Enchantress. Now, canonically, at the same time as Shovel of Hope, the Plague of Shadows campaign is occurring. This campaign consists of the Order of No Quarter member, Plague Knight, and the potion minigame lady, Mona, building the ultimate potion. And the way they must do it is by defeating the Order of No Quarter and claiming their essence. And Plague Knight must also battle the Enchantress at the end, which is crazy. And this is probably my favorite one. I found this one so much fun. Now onto Spectre of Torment. Now, Spectre of Torment is the action-packed prequel to Shovel Knight and Plague of Shadows. And it consists of the Enchantress resurrecting another Order of No Quarter member, Spectre Knight. And Spectre Knight must go around and recruit all the members of the Order of No Quarter that we love and know from the original Shovel Knight and Plague of Shadows. And doing this will help Spectre Knight restore his humanity. And that one is probably the simplest story in my opinion, but I thought this one was very enjoyable. Now, onto control. Now, as much as I really want to go into detail of all the characters and their controls, I really don't have time for it right now, and maybe that will be a future video, but I don't think so. But I will be judging the controls as a whole. Now, thankfully, the controls are not like old NES games like Castlevania. They're more akin to Mario and Mega Man. Very smooth, very controlling. The controls are just so fluent and responsive. They are just great. And they do have a little bit of fine-tuning as well. They're a little more responsive than NES games, and I like that. Now, onto gameplay. The short way I can describe all 3 campaigns is it's basically modern Mega Man, and I love it. But I'm gonna go into a little more detail. The original Shovel Knight is very much like Mega Man, but without range. It's very much melee-based combat, but it also has some Castlevania elements, which is collecting weapons. Now, Plague of Shadows is, I really can't even think of what to describe it as. It's basically a remixed Shovel Knight, but you have so much more control. You can do burst jumps, double jumps, you could throw bombs. It is just so crazy I can't even describe it. Spectre Knight, I like to think of it as Mega Man X, and I feel like Yacht Club Games, the creator of Shovel Knight, also thinks this, because there's a secret cheat code where your wall jumping as Spectre Knight can be like X's wall jump from Mega Man X, and that's my best way to describe it. Now, on to music. Now, Shovel Knight's music has just got me speechless. That's how crazy and amazing it is. The folks at Yacht Club have put so much effort into this music, it's just unbelievable. I get so much of a Mega Man and Castlevania vibe, and thankfully those are some of my favorite 8-bit platformers. So, I just love the music, I adore it. And it just makes me feel like I'm playing an NES game. But it also has like modern elements to it. And I like that as well. So, I know I'm playing an 8-bit game, but I also know it's a modern game and not like I'm playing on an NES, which is pretty good. And that's my music. Now, onto the verdict. Now, if you're a returning viewer, you may have noticed that I've dropped the letter grades on all the categories. Previously, I used to average out all the scores from the categories and put them into the verdict. Now, one problem with this was that I incorrectly scored some of the categories in arms and, yeah, just arms. In particular, the story. I gave the story a bad grade, even though arms doesn't have a story, it doesn't need a story, so I gave it a bad grade on purpose, and that took away from the verdict score. So I'm just gonna use the verdict as my opinion. Now, I think Shovel Knight is an A-, and here's why. Believe me, I've played every Mega Man game, so it's not that I don't like platformers. I've played all the Mega Man games, and it has gotten a little stale for me, and that's why I'm taking off a point for Shovel Knight. It's not about the Spectre of Torment DLC. That was perfect. It had a really good deviation from the original Shovel Knight and Plague of Shadows. And by the looks of the game night that we saw on Yacht Club Games' Twitter, it looks like it's gonna be another Spectre of Torment, which is great. But the Plague of Shadows campaign is so similar to Shovel Knight, like, it doesn't really give you an incentive to play. Some levels are remixed, but some parts are really designed for Shovel Knight, and getting through them as Plague Knight is just gonna result in so much death that you don't really want to play anymore. But I've gotten to the Plague Knight DLC multiple times, so I know it around the back of my hand, but like, for a new player, it might get a little stale. But other than that, Shovel Knight's a great game, and I totally recommend you putting $20 into it on Nintendo Switch, or even cheaper on other consoles. So, I suggest you buy it. I've played it so many times, and you'll have so many fun times with it, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Stay funky, my friends, and don't forget to be awesome.